Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Friday Night Project. I'm Charles, aka Captain Courageous, and this is my co-host Natasha, aka the Medusa. And today we have a very special guest, Nick Faiz from the Malaysian Craft Council. And over to
Hello.
you, Natasha. Please
Right.
introduce your wonderful guest here tonight.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. So today we have the president of the Malaysian Craft Council, Nick Faiz, Nick Amin, all the way from Kota Baru, Kelantan. So Nick, just a
Yeah.
couple of basics here. So the Malaysian Craft Council was established in April of 2019. Am I right?
Yes. It was established. Yeah. It was founded in April 2019, but the discussion and uh, the creating the brainstorming about having this Malaysian Craft Council has been done a year before that, which was actually late 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe that the Malaysian Craft Council, I'm going to shorten it to MCC, yeah, to make it easier, is another agency that's supposed to assist local arts and craft. But could you briefly tell us how MCC is different to other agencies doing the same thing in supporting local arts and craft?
Okay, probably before coming into that, let me give a little bit of background of how this MCC is established. It was actually um, uh, after myself having a lifetime of experience living in craft industry, especially in batik here in Kelantan, and I feel like there's a gap that we need to address, and there's something we need to do about the gap. So I created this MCC, of course, with the help of a lot of other people, especially those who are very much well versed and very influential in the craft industry in Malaysia. So this MCC will be like a voice of community, where we need to create a platform where we can actually connect with the agencies and with other NGOs or societies available in Malaysia, and going directly into the makers of craft. Not the trader, not the middleman, but the maker, the artisan themselves. And then we also need to be um, to have a place where we're being in the MCC will be another platform to narrate concerns of these real makers of craft. So when we talk about that, yes, we are seeing the industry as a whole, and then this industry is coming into the segments. There are categories, there are groups of makers, there are groups of the traders, and there are a group of people who are actually just connecting this ecosystem. So what we're trying to do right now here is probably to close the gap of the middleman, and then try to make sure that the makers of craft will get compensated well. Because the craft, okay, let's face it, craft products are actually perceived by those who are in the higher ranking group, or you know, like elites or something. And then the makers who are actually in the village, and they don't even know what's currently happening in the industry or in the current market. So we need to, we are trying, MCC is trying to close the gap and then try to make it more relevant. And, you know, it's more like a free trade zone formula.
I see.
So like based on MCC's manifesto, could you sort of like, if you could reduce it to 3 objectives of MCC, what would it be?
Okay, one is about connecting the entities or relevant parties who will be involved in this industry. And number 2 is emphasizing on education. Yeah, I will say that this is actually one of the priority of the existence of MCC, where we need to prioritize education and give the real scenario to the public, to government, to NGOs, to other agencies, and to the local craft players themselves. Because some of the players, let's get into the explanation later on. And then number 3, Number 3 is about the circulation of economy in the best way possible. Of course, we need to look into the perspective of others, where we need to ensure that the products of that high price will be well compensated. Probably like 30% or 40% is actually given to the makers of them, and then the rest will go into the raw material and also the marketing part or something. So these are the 3.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's pretty interesting to hear. I mean, but it's actually a real devastating blow to the artisans and the craftsmen, especially when it concerns the COVID-19 pandemic. So this has definitely affected their the financial, the economy. I mean, they are basically whatever their earnings and how they are basically the needs of the financial needs of the artisans and craftsmen. So how else does MCC come into this picture?
Okay. Even though this NGO has been well established and registered with the eRoses, we are still considering ourselves as in the beginning. Even though now it's coming to the 2nd year of our existence, kami masih lagi cuba untuk mendekati the craft players, the usahawan craft, especially in the village. I don't have to go far. I live in the place where we have about 100 plus of batik maker alone. And then we have the songket maker, we have kite maker, the wawbulan maker, and keris and others. So even during this movement control orders period, since the 18th of March, I can already see that people have totally stopped their production. They afraid of the authority to be coming and asking them, or maybe giving penalty to them for continuing doing the production. Yes, of course, the virus is very contagious and it's very dangerous, so we have to isolate ourselves. But these people, they get salary on a weekly basis, or I would say they get wages from the production that they do on a weekly basis, especially every Thursday. So when this happened, we don't see, we see that they don't get anything for them to eat. So in our capacity, me being the founder and also executive members of my own company handling batik, so we try what we can do to give. Of course, we also cannot be giving out, because they're paid on wage. So we feel like we need to be helping them in terms of getting food, giving beras and all those things. But it's not enough, because they have children who are now asked to be doing things online. And then let's face it, even though we're not very far from Kota Baru, but we're still in the village. Right. And then right. We also feel like the stress is already been coming out, and people already people don't know what they should do. Yeah, so this is what MCC is trying to help out, giving out information, disseminating information to help them up in giving beneficial references, for example, like where they can get those food supplies, or maybe a little bit of financial assistance or whatnot. We don't know everything, but we're trying to get information and then try to put in a platform where everybody can refer to.
Yeah. Tapi one of the masalah is the people from the kampung area, they orang tak ada access to internet. So this becomes another problem. Sebab all the information is circulating online, it's reaching to people who are, with the proper infrastructure, they're in the know, they're knowledgeable, and most of them are people with, a proper employment package, with KWSP, so and all that. So it doesn't quite solve the problem juga kan. So maybe Nick, kalau you boleh terangkan kan, try and maybe you want to share with us how is the life of a craftsman or an artisan dekat belah Kelantan. Maybe you want to walk us through what is their daily life like, and how do they make how do they survive? How do they make an income?
Well, I have been speaking to a lot of them, and then majority are in the senior citizen, and they refuse to get compensated on a monthly basis with EPF and SOCSO. Of course, they don't understand this thing. We still, let's face it, we still have this thing in our country. And then when the government is is informing about SOCSO will be helping up by giving out 600 ringgit, and EPF also we can withdraw money from the second account. So this thing doesn't benefit the craft makers at all. At all. It's not only in Kelantan, the whole of Malaysia. I can simply say that. So by having this to happen, I feel like these are the group that is left unaddressed by the government. There might be something that I don't know, but again, the information hasn't even come to me. Lagi-lagi lah dengan the craft makers over there kan, or over here. So we have to really seriously looking into this, and then I'm begging to the authorities, especially the agencies, the government, or any other corporates or NGOs, to also be looking into this. They are the people who are very healthy. Walaupun tua, the craft makers, because we use energy when at work, and then we're standing for 8 hours. So I will say that they are quite healthy, and then they are very skillful people. But of course, skillful in such a way that because they are artisan, they are not designer, so they produce. They don't think so much on when they produce. Not to say that they don't think, but of course, the creativity is not their priority. So when we do this, we have to also see this as helping up the whole value chain system, especially the craft makers. Traders haven't gone into them, going to the workshop and get more products, or probably sending out the new raw material for them to produce because of this MCO. And then it has been, I think, 2 cycles or 2 Thursdays that they haven't been receiving enough cash in their account. Or
and that's going to extend to a couple more Thursdays, kan? Tapi kenapa agaknya, because I know ramai tak faham, I think for a lot of people, especially in the city area, it's very difficult for them to understand why is it that the local craftsmen, they don't buy into this whole EPF and SOCSO system. What about the managers or the what do you call it? The people who are managing or running this, macam saya batik punya companies ke apa ke kan dekat sana, why is it not part of the package? And the other question that I'm fascinated to know is kenapa the local people, it's 2020 but there's still no buy-in in terms of their orang punya retirement punya preparation.
Okay, this is the thing that we have been experiencing, like me being the batik maker and owner, have been experiencing for 12 years. We try to introduce the monthly wages, but alhamdulillah in my group memang dah enforce that system, but the rest memang diorang tak nak dapat duit on a monthly basis, because for them they need it whenever they need it. So sikit-sikit, and they will use it, and they know the next Thursday they will be receiving another chunk, and they will be using it again. And then I will say this is the thing with the management of finance lah. Sebab we're dealing with orang kampung. Sometimes they main kutu and everything. So those are actually the savings that they do. And then talking about EPF and SOCSO, many of them don't even have bank account. Dia lagi suka simpan duit bawah bantal. So we still have that kind of mentality. Yeah. Again, this is another thing that MCC is trying to educate untuk kita laksanakan the system yang memang proven can make our industry better, but then we cannot educate them in this period of time during MCO. So yang tu memang berjalan dengan for a longer period of time, but instantly we need to address this issue, and yes, they need to get what they should get. So I really, really hope that the government will be looking into this perspective, and I just afraid that they might create another thing yang, because they're so devastated of having been living in the poverty, and then they cannot eat. So nauzubillah min zalik, but it might direct them into this situation where the poverty-induced crime might happen. So robbery and everything. So we don't want that to happen. We're nice people. We just do work in order for us to get money for food and everything. So I really, really hope we can address this issue, and then somebody will take it up.
Again, sorry, going back to what you were trying to explain about why they still main kutu, simpan duit bawah bantal, because at the same time we don't want people to have a misconception on how backwards they are in terms of their thinking, because with all due respect lah kan, I mean orang kampung ni, I'm sure they have a very valid reason for thinking and behaving that way. Could one of the reasons be because they need cash on hand to buy the material? Because for example, kadang-kadang for batik kan, you need to suddenly have to purchase the fabric kan, and then so for example kalau the silversmiths, they need to buy their raw material. Is it because the cycle, the production cycle tu kan, for the craftsmen, they need to purchase as and when. So waiting for that monthly cycle, it doesn't fit within their own production cycle.
There are a few categories when we're talking about artisan and craft players. The artisan, they don't buy raw material, and then they just receive it when they have orders. So tukang, we're talking about tukang craft. So they buat je. They don't even have anything in terms of raw material that they have to keluarkan modal dulu. No. And we have to realize that they're not backward thinking, but they are in the age of when they were young, those things was practiced.
Okay.
So it's very, very difficult to get young artisan at the moment to recruit new talents. And even though if they are young, kebanyakan daripada artisan or usahawan craft kita, I wouldn't say usahawan lah, tukang craft kita, they do that business or they do that job because following their father and mother. So dia macam continue lah the legacy. Tapi dia buat apa yang parents dia buat lah. So if their parents were practicing the system of weekly wages, then they continue doing that. In my case, also the same. I'm the third generation of batik maker. But
Interesting.
But I get a an early exposure of not continuing that system. That is actually the reason why I created the brand and everything. So for me, it's more towards a business perspective rather than doing the industry as a cottage industry forever. And then that's a different story lah. But coming into this MCC role, memang kita we have a few different case studies for us to adapt into educating these people. Dan memang dia akan makan masa. The craft players, not to say that they are lack of education, but they are educated in the skillful way, on the skills, not on the economics, finance, branding and everything. So tu adalah something yang kita kena faham lah, so that the rulers or those who are trying to induce the education to them, to this special group, we need to be speaking in their language.
Yeah.
In my case, I am in the group of them, but I'm also exposed in this side. So I think I will be able to create a formula with the help of a few in our team, and of course, speaking to any other agencies and NGOs, we can make it happen.
So I think thank you so much, Nick. What you have, that the talk you just gave, explanation, and it's actually education. to me, to someone like me, and to, I think, to us, to all of us who's listening. And it's so important to understand that that the Malaysian Craft Council is not just representing financial welfare. So I think it's a lot more than that. The Malaysian Craft Council is representing the cultural iconography of Malaysia. It's the icon of Malaysia, what represents Malaysia in its purest form, which is art and craft, and in the inheritance of something that has been passed on from generations and to generation. As you said, you're a third generation batik maker. That's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And from what I've understood, that it's pretty apparent that they are affected by this pandemic. They're affected, financially affected, because they need something to eat, but they're grappling with their way of life. It's a grapple. It's kind of a struggle between what is inherently the most logical thing to do, in our system today, financial system, and how we ought to do things, and versus their way of life. And their way of life is not about poverty at all. I mean, it's, from what you said, from what I understand, is that they value the simplicity and the specific kind of setting and environmental setting that they are in, and they value that. They want that to continue, because there's nothing diminished about it. It's just probably a much more it's probably a much more purer thing to do, is to value that, because we are losing that in the cities. We are slowly losing sight of I would say our traditional way of life. We are losing sight of what makes us us. Like losing sight of nature. We hear nature nature is healing. They say that this pandemic is causing that to happen. But on the other hand, can the public contribute? From what you're saying, I think it's important that the public and organizations understand that their support to help them maintain this way of life and this lifestyle, and to understand, also to learn about the philosophy of the Malaysian craft and the heritage of our craft. I think that is so important. I think from what you mentioned, Nick, there's so much to understand, so much to learn. But of course, the fiscal implication, especially during times of crisis like this, these artisans are craftsmen. It's not like they're screaming, "I need money," but it's just that they value money differently compared to us. As Natasha mentioned, that they put their money into trying to get those materials first. And you mentioned that as well. Trying to get those materials, they focus on these things, because these things are the treasures. These are the luxuries. For us, our luxuries are different. Our luxuries have brands on it, but for them, for their sense of luxuries is something that's so much more natural, so much more valuable. So I think it's very good education. As you said, it's a education. I think this is worth talking about, and I really appreciate for you to share this, and we hope that you could share more of this in future, and you're always welcome to do so. Natasha, what do you think?
Yeah, so just to sort of like be a little bit more precise on the role of Malaysia Craft Council, so that people don't get confused. So Malaysia Craft Council does not provide funds for the struggling arts and craft, right, Nick? But what you do instead is you are functioning as a council or a sounding board to highlight the financial aid available. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So could you share with us what are the financial aid currently available? How can people get hold of them? Especially now, it's very time sensitive. Every day counts. And there's also another problem where a lot of these artisans or a lot of craftsmen, they don't have access to the internet. So 2 questions I have for you. What are the financial aid available? And number 2, what can the public do to help with all this information?
there might be a lot more references to be put into our platform later on, because as of this instant, I do not have all the information perceived for the financial assistance. But what I know, government has allocated 130 million to each state in helping out the Penjaja and IKS, which I spoke to the representative in Kelantan chapter or the state government under unit UPEN, unit economy, unit pembangunan ekonomi negeri. So they were advising me about the possibilities of us to take care of this group also. Yes, tourism industry is the hardest hit, but again, craft industry is not so far, because again, we are also related to tourism. Our products are tourism product. So melalui zakat juga disediakan kepada a few places. I know Mai is having it, and then I think all states are having the same thing. So there will be more. I really hope that the government, especially under the MOTAC ministry, will be able to come up with a special scheme only or exclusively dedicating to this group. And I really wish I can share more, but I am also gaining information about that. My team is working very hard on getting more information and then try to pursuing. Yeah, for me at this stage of time, what we can do is to pursue and to give the bigger voice as a representing the craft players in the whole of Malaysia. Yeah, and then I also like to talk about when Charles was mentioning about the public support in our craft industry.
Right.
I don't know, before we don't have much of a platform where we can voice out about our local craft industry, because the awareness towards our local crafts and artisanal products has increased. But again, that only touch on a certain group of people. And then I give you, for instance, where government is enforcing the rule of wearing batik on Thursday. Public don't know what batik is.
Yeah.
And to buy digital prints in the motif that look a little bit like batik, or a lot like batik, but they're not batik. So and this happens to the government servant in the ministry level. So and then so this.
Nick, I'm so sorry to. Can I interrupt you for a moment? We're kind of running out of time. The timer is already showing the meeting will end in 10 minutes. So just wrap up. What you have? You got any last remarks to say before we end our show?
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you can highlight where are which platforms that people can find their existing information.
Okay. Malaysia is very much about Facebook. So the first thing first that Malaysian Craft Council has created is our Facebook page, where we can assimilate ideas, and then we can also share a lot of things or references in there that we're building up into that, and then try to get more people to come and collaborate with us also. For us, the key is always about networking and connecting. So we never intend to be a one-man show or to be a hero in whatever we're doing, but more of that, we try to connect and then try to collaborate with institutions, public universities or private, and then with other museum volunteers or agencies of all related agencies with craft, and also on the marketing side with probably Matre. Will be able to help on this scenario. So I really wish that soon, Malaysian Craft Council will be a platform, or will be a space where people will share their thoughts and then share whatever they can help, whether they can help or whether they seek help. So this will be a platform where we can be speaking entirely. And then they can come in languages that they can speak with. Kita ada subtitle or kita ada translation, so don't worry. we welcome everyone of all races in Malaysia,
Yeah.
be it aborigines or whatnot, because we do have a group of aborigines among our usahawan craft as well.
Very
So
good.
kita nak guna platform ni. It's very inclusive. There is no chapter of only tackling on this group or whatnot. We're not excited about having only a special elite group to be conquering. And
These are
Really,
pretty good vision. Yeah.
yeah. So kira boleh rumusannya is kita boleh kata sekarang ni Malaysia Craft Council has a Facebook and it's called the Malaysian Craft Council.
Malaysian Craft Council.
And so will all this information be shared there? If I were to go there now, we'll be able to find the information?
Yeah.
And is the platform also open for questions by the
Definitely.
public?
We welcome interactive communication. So this interactive medium will be available for public to share or to ask help or to give their hand to help. And of course, we'll be going into other social media platform, but I will say that Facebook is the first thing that we need to rely on right now, because again, usahawan craft are mostly familiar with Facebook rather than Instagram or any other platforms. And tu yang ada internet lah. But for those who are not having internet availability, we try to work in a system where probably we hope that we can reach out to a bigger target audience, maybe dengan university or something where they can do their projects.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah. So,
going back to your pillar of education, so I think for now the most important thing is people with access to the internet, to the information, can help to share the information offline to anybody that they know who can benefit from this information. Because I think right now, with all this funding available out there, but there are forms to fill up and so forth. So I think one of the things that the public can do, if you know anybody in the situation, help to download and help to sort of like make the process workable. Yeah.
Again, coming in inclusivity also, if I can add a bit.
Sure.
Coming in inclusivity as well. About the group that we want to form under MCC is not always about the makers of craft. Anybody can be joining into this group. They can be even as enthusiasts of craft, or at least somebody who might keen to explore craft. Then you are welcome to join. Because to learn and especially to give assistance, because I always believe that everybody comes in a good package. So we need help in whatever way possible. It's not only about the skills. The artisan have the skill, or maybe they need to upgrade or whatnot in terms of branding or anything. So that's the reason why even I welcome doctors to be coming into this.
Absolutely.
And then try to give, because they might be helping in terms of the formula of chemical formula or something, right? So we never know. We really want to open it up for anybody who would like to share.
Wonderful. So, okay, we have another 4 minutes left. Medusa, last thoughts. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you've done a wonderful job in initiating a platform that is addressing something that's a little bit more realistic and much needed at today's time. Number one, education. I think we
agree.
Re-educate. Yeah, re-educate. You mentioned that even people in the government sector are not fully aware of the what batik is, and I think it cuts across the entire country. We see a lot of people wearing batik, but they don't realize that they're wearing, say, Javanese batik, kan? So Malaysian batik is still present. Number two, I think it's also good that you are also focusing more on the livelihood of the local craftsmen rather than on the designers of batik art or local arts, because I think sometimes the emphasis on financial support tends to go towards the traders.
Correct.
And again, the people that need the funding the most are left out of that whole loop.
Got 2 minutes.
And I think, yes. So I think keep up the great work. You're doing a fantastic job. And yeah, over to you, Captain.
Thank you, Mrs. Medusa, for your last thoughts there. Sorry, we're running out of time. But you know one thing, Nick, we're inviting you again. We'll always invite you again to further explain, further expand on this in our next show. So this is the Friday Night Project. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us. You have been a star here, and we have learned so much from you in just 30 minutes. It's fantastic. Medusa, you're a superstar as usual. Thank you so much for co-hosting. Woohoo! Okay, we will do another show soon. So watch that space. We will be found in YouTube. We will have a Facebook page as well. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Nick. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.